And because I'm such a physical, athletic human being, I make sure that I master whatever art that is. So when it came time to play the heroin addict on Binnenlanders, I had to
Go do some heroin. What's happening, guys? Welcome to another episode of Jester Radio. A special guest, one that I want to say has been on many shows that I've enjoyed, and especially one that we're going to get into, and that is awesome. And also, someone that almost started, well, I believe, started and needs to get more credit for, if you look at Logan Paul and Jake Paul, all these celebrities doing fights. I mean, you were doing that, and you've done that actually long before it was, super big for celebrities to be doing that. And I think that was about 3 years ago. So Nicole Bessick, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I'm keen to talk a little bit of crap today. It's going to be cool.
That's encouraged. Yeah, so thank you so much. I know before you said you just wrapped up, or you've completed 4 projects this year so far. And can you let us know what those are?
Goodness, so these projects have been a great blessing, especially during COVID. I mean, just to work during COVID, no matter what game you're in, is a blessing in itself. And then entertainment, it's even harder because everything is closed down. We don't have the opportunity to be in rooms with lots of people doing the lighting, doing the sound, doing the hair, doing the makeup. So in order to be on any show during this time, and then to be on 4, it's just absolutely incredible, and I'm so blessed. I'm not allowed to say names just yet, but I can say it's SABC 1, ETV, Showmax, and hopefully Netflix that you'll be seeing me on in the next few months to come.
And that's awesome how Netflix has done a lot of work in South Africa, and they've done a lot of shows, a lot of recording. And I know one of the bigger shows pretty much on Netflix is Black Mirror, and you were on episode Black Mirror.
Yes, I was.
And that's the final season, but it was the first episode of the final season so far. Hey?
No, I was in the wedding episode many years back. There's a wedding episode in season 3, I believe, with Bryce Dallas Howard, where they played like swipe up or swipe down, and they rated people.
Oh yes. That was with the lady from Jurassic Park.
Yes, Bryce Dallas Howard. Yeah.
Oh, is that her name? I was thinking it was the man lead.
Yeah. No.
So I to be honest, I didn't see you in that role because I watched that quite a while back when it first came out. What was your role in that?
I just played a wedding guest in that show. So it was a cameo, it was a bit part, and it was so great to be standing alongside these titans in entertainment, because, very rarely do we, I love to know that I work with the best of the best in South Africa, but then for, Hollywood's finest to come down, shoot in Cape Town, and have an opportunity to work with him and just chat with him offline even, it's wild knowing, number one, that, geez, this is my life, and number 2, those kind of opportunities aren't too far off for South African artists, and we can step toe to toe with those guys and hold our own. So it was wild. That experience was wild, and it was just such a humbling but reigniting feeling. It was incredible being on set with him.
Was that the scene where she totally spirals out of control
at the wedding? Yes.
Yeah. And I would like to know your point of view, because I know there's so many directors, like Quentin Tarantino, who now actually does not like this whole Netflix thing where, there's no cinemas, there's no big launches almost, and premiere nights and stuff that there was than there used to be. Because obviously now Netflix is just rolling out movies left and right, which is obviously amazing because it gives actors a lot more, opportunity to be able to, just portray their work and get more jobs. But, how is it? Because, even though he made Once Upon a Time in Hollywood actually to kind of show how, times have changed and how the struggle that obviously when Leonardo DiCaprio played the actor, how the struggle of an actor and the struggle of, and it was also kind of a juxtaposition to how society is today, where there's not really, cinema is almost dying because now everyone is just watching it from their home.
Sure.
What's your point of view? Obviously it's more beneficial to you because there's more roles available, or how do you feel about it?
Look, I think you're talking about big blockbuster movies and those reasons why we get on a Friday night and we just grab our loved one or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your friends, and you just head to the movies and have a really great night out where the cinema becomes an experience. We have long moved away from the cinema being an experience. It's not so much where you're sitting now, it's the actual content of what you're watching. And you, to your point, there are so many options available, and now everything is at the click of the button. You can watch whatever movie you want, whatever series you want, whatever drama you want, and everything is available. I believe that it's gotten even that more competitive to make those blockbuster movies, because we are now so overexposed to what good filmmaking is, and I think it's really keeping filmmakers on their toes in order to make those great movies of years gone by. It really is not forcing them, but it's survive, adapt, or die.
Yeah.
You know, they've got to be making those incredible pieces, really wrapping their heads around storyline, around arcs, about all those things. So I get that that's a point, but I think it is a double-edged sword. It's kind of like comparing, you know, people try it all the time, the great Michael Jackson to who is the Michael Jackson of this time. You can't compare it. The times are completely different. There's just so much being made. The quality of what we're able to produce today, literally you can make a beat on your laptop. Back then you couldn't. So it really is apples and pears. But I still love to make a moment out of going to the movies, even though I'm on the screen. I do think there is something special there. So I share sentiment in some ways too.
Yeah, but also I was actually heard on the radio now. A Quiet Place 2 was the first movie since this pandemic to reach 100 million at the box office. And I mean, even 100 million, like, it's good, but in terms of good movies, it's not amazing.
Astronomical.
Yeah,
No.
it's not.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, if you look at movies now that Netflix are putting out, if you look at like Spencer Confidential with Mark Wahlberg, if you look at Six Underground with Ryan Reynolds, those are all blockbuster movies that would have been, you know, in the cinemas.
Yeah.
So it's quite, and I mean, they still do almost just as well.
100%.
Because people will see a massive billboard, you know, a Ryan Reynolds movie that's on Netflix. They're like, oh, well, I'm not a Netflix subscriber. Let me just subscribe. It's only 200 Rand a month.
Yeah.
Let me do it. And then if there's so many people doing it, you know, it kind of is making the same amount of money.
Yeah, and I think back to the point, the cinema as an experience is the only thing that's technically being stripped away from the art.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, but also I think you kind of adapt or you die. You know, I mean, if you look at all these amazing movies now that are being produced, you kind of just need to recreate that for yourself at home.
Yeah.
Because the movies are just as good. The directing, the acting is just as good, if not, you know, improved. Yeah. Because of Netflix having such a big budget to be able to put, you know, week after week, a new movie with an amazing director, with amazing actors. It really is. And I mean, even them coming to South Africa, it's creating so many more jobs and it's creating so many more opportunities for, you know, our local actors. So how did you come about getting and landing? Was it a work with manager or?
So I think every artist should have, I certainly do. Every artist should have an agent. It's important to have an agent. You can't operate without one. They're essentially the responsible for receiving the brief, seeing which artists on their books or which artists fit that brief, and then putting the work forward. Just think of a recruitment agent kind of a thing, except they do it for art and entertainment. And they will manage the specs of the brief, the payment, the working environment, the conditions that you're supposed to be working under, draft your contract, make sure you're safe, supported, and all those things while you're on set. And that's how I do all of my acting work.
Going back to the beginning, how did you? So obviously you started. It was figure skating, eh?
Yeah.
Obviously, that was maybe the pageantry that almost got. Is that the pageantry almost the showing your best version of yourself while people are watching?
Goodness, I like to joke that I got my big break when I turned 3 and I played Mary in my preschool nativity play. I always knew that performance was something that was intrinsic to my being. It's just who I am. I'm a storyteller. And I'm also an athlete by nature. I'm very competitive. Physicalities drive me. And I got onto ice at age 3 and they couldn't get me off. Started the next 2 weeks, and by 8 or 9, I was representing my country. So it was quick. Even back then it was what you're 6 years old and you're training 4 or 5 times a week.
Sure.
7, 8, 9. That was just it's how I was. It's not even how I was raised. I take that back. I think my parents let me do whatever I wanted to do. I just had one rule: your grades can't drop. You can do whatever. The sky's the limit. Do what you want to do. And within our means, we'll try to achieve that as best we can and make it possible for you. But your grades drop you out. So I figure skated for many, many years. I turned about 11 or 12. And there's only so many times you can win the same championship. There's only so many times you can be the best of the best. And I realized that, like you said, it was the performance that really made me put my skates on. And ultimately, that performance is the need to perform is what led to me hanging my skates up. Sat my folks down and I said, look, I want to give this acting thing a shot. And there was this performance art theater school that I was really, really keen on. They do dance, drama, singing, acting, whatever the case may be. I was still in primary school at this time. You've got this little kid, 11 years old, telling you what's what and what she wants for a future. That to me is, when I think back on it, I'm like, geez, like my parents had a lot to deal with. But I had that conversation with them. And while I was still in school, I attended theater school part-time, like after school. So you finish school at like 2, half 2, and then from 3 to 6. 2-3 times a week, and all day on Saturday, 9 to 5, sure. I was training to be a performer. I always knew it gave me so much passion. The grades never dropped. That was another one. Picked up piano along the way. I play 3 instruments.
What are those instruments?
Piano, guitar, and drums.
Okay.
Piano the longest. I started when I was 6. So I always knew that performance and making art was in my genetic makeup. Did that all the way through school. I was a straight A student. And I think, again, back to it, my parents said your grades must never ever drop or all of this goes away, kind of a thing. So my grades never dropped. And when it was time to matriculate, everyone thought, okay, cool, she'll just pursue entertainment full time, because I had my first movie, my blockbuster moment when I was 16 in a film called Cold Harbour, and that went to the Cannes, Berlin, and Los Angeles film festivals. Sure. So it was a no-brainer. And then my parents sat me down and they went, look, kid, that's all great and well. We're sure you're as good as it gets, but we need to make sure that you have a solid plan B. And my parents were hell-bent on giving me the opportunities that they didn't have and people of color didn't have. I was the first in the family to go to tertiary education, to achieve one. So I went eeny, meeny, miny, law, whatever. Like, let's just get this over with. And I quickly found that there is a way to gear my plan B towards my plan A. I then went to go write my dissertation, and I did my honors in intellectual property and the state of copyright in the South African media space. I did a semester through Harvard Law School, which I was very blessed to be able to do. And they really dived, whatever. They dived like really, really deep into what it was and what the international standards of copyright are and intellectual property. And I was very blessed to be able to do that. And when I graduated, I'll never forget, Tuesday we graduated, Wednesday I said, right, I'm moving to Joburg. My parents went, what?
From?
Cape Town.
Okay.
And they said, what? And I said, yeah, I'm moving. When? Tomorrow. Huh? Booked my flight. We don't have family there. What are you going to do? I'll figure it out. Took my savings and all these small little bits that I'd been putting away from these acting jobs along, and I said, right, time to make the dream come true. And that sounds like a pipe dream, you know? Everyone wants to do, or I believe all artists want to make the move to the biggest city in their country that does the work that they want to do. And for me, that's Johannesburg. Just because here they do the work I want to be doing. They do the soap operas, they do the dramas, they do all of those things. And I moved up, and that was 5 years ago, and I've never been back since. I've never had to be, you know. I think when you show God your belief in him and your belief in his faith, those opportunities will come. Like you've got to buy the lotto ticket, man. You can't win the lottery otherwise. Yeah. And that was me just having to show a strong show of faith. And yeah.
So you made that move to Joburg. How long did it take you until you know, obviously, was there a time where you're like, yo, maybe this isn't for me?
Oh, are you asking me how long it took me to book my first job?
Yeah, also, or more just...
2 weeks.
Okay, 2 weeks, okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't have a stage where you just kept going, kept trying, and then, just kept getting a no?
As an artist, you will hear no more than you hear your first name. You hear no every single day. You've just got to keep pushing regardless. I've done it scared. I've done it broke. I've done it alone. I'm still doing it because I refuse to let those... I hear no, even today, I've auditioned for things that I knew I was like a great fit for. I put it out there. I worked really hard at my audition processing. I worked really hard at the callbacks and at the directors' meets, and it just didn't happen. And you've got to pick yourself up at the bootstraps, because the entertainment industry isn't about if you're good or not. Everybody here is good. It's about who is the best fit for the role, and learning not to take no personally. You can never, ever take no personally. If anything, I always encourage younger artists, when you hear no, ask why. Always. No, I'm scared of. Well, then this is not the right game for you. When you hear no, ask why. Why that no happened. Do you need to work on your accents? Do you need to work on your physicalities? Because there are a lot of roles, the roles that I do are quite physical roles. I mean, I've done it before in Binnelanders, and currently now I'm doing the same thing where I play a stripper. You cannot play a stripper if you cannot pole dance, kind of a thing. You cannot pole dance if you are not athletic. There's a certain kind of artist who is that is geared for. For instance, I really struggle, or I have struggled for the longest time with love interest roles for no other reason than the way I look. I'm tall, I'm really athletic. You're not going to buy, if you've already cast your male or your male counterpart and he's 5 foot. They never, and there's literally in the script it says she leans her head on his chest. There's no way that is going to work. The dynamic just won't sell. The story won't sell. Yeah. And I'm cool with that, because it's not that thing of stay in your lane. I just know my lane, and I know my niche, and I understand what I'm good at. That's not to say that you should just focus on one thing. The point here is just never to take no personally.
Going into, going for auditions and taking the no, not taking a no personally, how is, the psychology, we'll break the psychology up into 2 parts. Okay. One, the psychology of, going for interviews, getting roles, or going for auditions. Auditions. So like the psychology of getting your head around being okay with the no. So the psychology of, putting yourself out there, making yourself vulnerable, and then obviously the second part we'll get into of, actually once you become the actor. So, that first part, how is it, kind of just putting down, having no walls up, how is it going into audition to make yourself and getting your mind right to be perfect, and also to be willing to take a no?
Goodness, I don't think anyone goes into an audition wanting to hear a no or preparing to hear a no.
So then your psychology is more positive, saying, I'm perfect, I'm going to get this.
You have to be. Otherwise, what are you doing here? It's like sport. You have to believe you're the best. Ali said it, I'm the best in the world, even when he wasn't, even when he was on the come up. You've got to believe you're the right. Like, nobody's going to book you if you're walking in with an apologetic energy. Nobody's going to book you because you don't back yourself. Why should I? So you always walk into auditions preparing. Your confidence stems from research. Your confidence stems from preparation. Your confidence doesn't stem from I'm here, book me. Not that. It's your preparation, your research. Do you know your lines? Are you booked down? Can you play with it? Do you have this accent on lock? Do you have this whatever? Is your audition process within itself? Do you know the ins and outs of the process? And when you've got that on lock, you're square. You have to walk in there with, yes, this is mine. I like to forget about auditions the second I walk out the door. They always say they'll cast by, let's say, the 12th of July or the 13th of July. I forget about those dates. You cannot be hung up on that, because the time you're spending worrying about that is the time you should be plowing into your next audition. I always say, as an actor, your job is to audition. Your job is not to book. That's not your job. That's not your concern. Focus on what you can control, the controllables. Make sure that process and your creative process and your audition protocol are at 100, and leave the rest up to the powers that be. It's none of your business if you book or not. You just need to focus on your process, on making sure that when you walk in there, you know your story, and leave the rest up to it. Actors are supposed to book. I mean, the stats always change, and obviously you can't compare LA to South Africa or to the UK or the Australian scene even. But you're supposed to be booking 1 out of 20. 1 out of 20 things that you go for. Not because you're not the best, because directors have a script that they need to fill. You will never play an accountant. How are we going to sell that? Do you know what I mean?
Because my face doesn't look clever. Is that what you're saying?
No, your biceps are too big, man. That kind of thing.
Of course.
They have an idea in their mind of what that looks like. You know, I mean, of course, you could. Depends on the script. I'm just spitballing and giving you a stereotypical thing. You can never play somebody who's being bullied, for instance, if they want to play it in a stereotypical way.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. They've already got, you know, their not their person in mind, but their character in mind. They have a character in mind, and the artists need to bring that to life. That is your job when you book the role. It's on your agent to make sure that they're putting you forward for everything that is within your niche, that is within what you want to do. And that's why it is so important for every working artist to have an agent. Then to the second part of your question, how do you deal with the no once it lands, kind of a thing? You just move. You know, ask why. There are instances, especially when you get to the callback round, and callbacks are even more nerve-wracking than auditions, because now you know they want you. Now you know you're fighting with somebody for the role. There's a whole panel of producers and directors who you have to impress and show that you can work. And that's when the nerves really go. And sometimes it's a no then even. You know, even though you were great, and even there was just something that they didn't see in you that they saw in someone else, or that they saw in neither of you, and they've got to go back to the drawing board.
Sure.
Yeah. And at that stage, you can always ask why. You should ask why. Don't ask why if you went to this cattle call where there were 300 people, and it's really not worth it. That there's a good chance that casting director might not know. Your agent might know, and your acting coach might know, in which case ask. Always ask for the feedback. You can't grow, you can't move if you don't learn. So yeah, that's sort of how you deal with the audition process.
Staying on the audition process, you said that you should, pretty much be booking 1 in every 20 auditions. Statistically. Okay, so how many auditions do you book? Like, what's the frequency of auditions that you are doing?
That I'm doing?
Yeah.
Goodness, how long is a piece of string? Because this changes. You'll audition 4 times in 1 week, and then you won't audition for like a month.
Okay.
And then it's very like stop, go, hurry up and wait. That's essentially what the entertainment industry is built on, is that narrative of hurry up and wait. On average, I mean, if you want to create like a big math sum about it, which you really can't, I would say 2 a week. Those are just for auditions. Then there's sort of commercial auditions and castings and theatre plays and all those things. But I would say once a week, once every 2 weeks, kind of a thing. That's how often you should be booking according to stats. Again, it's different for a lot of people. I know people who book everything they go for. I know people who won't go to auditions because they're so busy and they booked in. It's different. Everyone has a winning season. I've been through spells of 8 months. Yes, you see me on TV, but I'm not actively working. Not for lack of trying, but because people aren't writing at the moment and shows aren't casting at the moment. There's a season where you cast, and there's a couple of months where you don't cast because everyone's working and shooting and producing for channel and producing for their broadcasters. So again, seasons, it's hard to answer that question honestly. So I'll try and give a full encompassing, answer as I can. So I would say once every 2 weeks is a normal. Once every 3 weeks, I cussed, I'm sorry. Once every 3 weeks. Again, it happens that it changes. I've been to, which is funnily enough how I got all 4 roles. I casted for all 4 in the space of, I casted for all 3 in the space of a week and a half, and I booked all 3. Wow. But then the last thing I booked before that was in December, and it's the show that's kept me busy all the time. But my agent knows I can't be auditioning for things because I'm 5 days on set. So it's very, very hard. It's like, how long is a piece of string kind of thing.
And are there certain roles that you just won't go for? Are there things like, okay, well,
yes.
that's
Yes. I am in this game to let other young girls of color know it's possible. There is no way I'm going to get onto a show that portrays colored people in a stereotypical way. We're not all addicted to drugs. Some of us have our front 4 teeth kind of thing. So I steer clear of roles that portrays people of color in ways that I don't assimilate with. There's too many stories to be told. That's not something that I'm going to put my name behind, no. And
in South Africa, are there still those shows where stereotypically...
You've got a TV. You've got your TV.
I don't really watch much DSTV. It's more Netflix and,
Yeah.
So it's difficult. And also, like, I grew up maybe, like, watching Seven to Law and that kind of stuff where maybe if that kind of thing happened in those shows, I wasn't aware of it because I was young, So obviously in South Africa, it's difficult because now you can't or you shouldn't be doing that ever, obviously, but it's difficult in South Africa to cast anyone to do that. Because if you have
look. There are period pieces where that the role requires that. There's beautiful pieces out there that I back for that. Like movies around gangsterism, movies around like there's incredible movie on there was an incredible series on Showmax called Skemer Dance, and it shows the colored experience in a way I have never seen on television before. I am so proud to know the cast and crew of that show because they got it right. You know, the team worked very hard, very tirelessly in Cape Town on that piece. Swirl is another one where you tell the story in a way that does not degrade the experience of what it means to be colored. So to answer your question, throw me a role like that, I'll throw it back at you.
Yeah.
Won't do it.
I guess it kind of needs to be, to bring up Quentin Tarantino again, like Django Unchained.
Yeah.
Where it was funny, but like the serious issues of slavery are addressed. It's, yes, there's someone playing a stereotypical role of that time, but it was stereotypically to obviously show what
there
it
was
was
a greater
truly
purpose
like.
around it. Yeah.
It wasn't just to
also, Django Unchained was made many, many, many moons ago.
Yeah.
So I think, we ought to be telling stories that move with the times.
Yeah. No, of course. And so your roles now.
Yeah.
And the psychology of your roles. You say, obviously, you've played a stripper several times.
A stripper, a heroin addict, a lesbian. For some reason, my roles I'm very daring when it comes to those roles. So yeah, my roles are quite different. I really don't mind tackling them and really trying to get to understand who these women are. Because somebody's written about somebody's life here. I really need to get underneath those. And because I'm such a physical, athletic human being, I make sure that I master whatever art that is. So when it came time to play the heroin addict on Binnenlanders, I had to
do some heroin.
No, I had to watch videos of people injecting it and what they look like when they go in and what they look like when they withdraw. Because I don't have any lived experience to draw on. Having not done it myself, I won't know what to pull from. Like if you need to show love, I've been in love, so I can show you what that looks like. I can't show you here, like I have to watch.
Yeah,
so again,
course.
to my point at the beginning, research when I walked into that audition room to know what to do in that scene and to play it believably, that kind of thing. So I'm a very physical artist. So obviously with a stripper, I can pole dance. It is way worse than fighting. I would rather get punched straight in the face. It is the hardest art of physicality I have ever had to portray.
No, it's ridiculous. Seeing some of these girls do these things and then
and boys
yeah, of
on the
course.
pole too. It is just a sport and an art form all on its own. And big ups to the guys who compete in these kinds of championships because pole art is hard. I digress. So yeah, big physical artist. Although accents or something I can do as well. The roles I gravitate towards more because you do have an option where you've got 2 or 3 characters to pull from or to audition for. I do sort of gravitate towards the more physical pieces.
Yeah. And in terms of, the psychology behind getting and becoming the character, is that, obviously method acting, or do you take the character home with you and almost become the character so that it's not a switch, it's almost just you in that time when you're recording?
Goodness, I don't take the character home with me, but I do feel her. Like when I have had a long day of crying, I just go home and I want to be in bed and I want to bleed for this woman and what she's just gone through. And I know it sounds very out there and, oh my God, artists are so weird, but you feel it. I'm not acting, I'm feeling and you're filming it.
Yeah.
I'm feeling and you're filming. That's what acting is. I'm not performing. There's nothing about it that's performance. I'm feeling and you're seeing real face movement, real body movement that relates to a feeling. And having feeling that we shoot for 12 hours a day. And to come home and then feel sore like that for that person, you can bring it with you. Do I take on their habits? No, because I'm not a stripper and I haven't done heroin. I'm not method to that extreme, but I definitely feel it. And I have to be kind to myself because I'm doing something that's not... You don't actively put yourself through heartache, for instance, if your character's going through turmoil. No human being wants to do that. And also, because I'm a method artist, I pull on my own experiences to bring that to life. So now if I haven't gone back and dealt with that trauma, fuck, it's not going to be fun to have to live and breathe that at work. It's tough. It is a sort of psychology for yourself, and you live those moments that you'd rather not go back to. You have to in order to bring that camera to that character to life. So being an artist is a lot like looking in a mirror sometimes, because you really have to look at ugly parts of yourselves and beautiful parts too. It's not just all bad. Sometimes it's really good, and some characters have left me feeling really good as a woman, really empowered as a woman, sexy as a woman, and you bring that home too. But yeah, I don't do what my characters do, but I definitely bleed for them and feel for them, and yeah, feel that the remnants of those emotions at home.
Yeah. Well, it's almost if you if you tell someone a lie and you try to convince yourself of the lie, if you're playing this character and you're feeling their pain, it's almost like you are like the pain becomes part of you, their pain, and the characters, their emotions, their gestures, like what you're playing on screen almost does become part of you.
Yeah, it is. No, it's not part of you. It is you. It's you, and it's a time in your life. What you're pulling on is a time in your life where you felt that. And it's quite interesting because I've been guilty of it in the past too. You get precious over your characters and you refuse. You'll fight with writers and you'll fight with the directors. I don't want her to say that. I'm just. Can we not just pretend? Like, you can't. You've got to be vulnerable. But you as a human, because you're a human being, it's a human experience. You just get very protective of those characters as though they were real people, and you're the person who brings them to life. So you want to hold them and save them from the world, save them from themselves. But you can't. You've got to be as true as possible.
So in terms of, like, let's say you playing someone that has suffered some terrible emotional pain or suffering, it's more you drawing from your past than almost saying, okay, well, this character, I'm going to become the character. It's more just finding that character within yourself and bringing it out.
All the greats say that every character they've played has been themselves. Denzel Washington is my go-to for that. There's elements of, and I'm not comparing myself to Denzel at all. I'm saying that the process is similar. You'll watch all of my characters and you'll see little things that Nicole does that character also does to express a particular emotion. When I'm nervous, I'll do a particular thing and that character will do it too, because that's how I express nervousness. I don't need to go find something different just because I'm making a character. That's when you can see that somebody's shit. Genuinely, when they are looking to perform and looking to show an emotion, feel it. Just feel it. However it comes across. Like scenes where you're angry. You're not always angry and chatting like this up here. Sometimes you are so angry that it comes out as a whisper. And you need to play. You need to play. Just because, that character happens to be shouting, if it doesn't resonate with you in that way, pull from some time in your life, some feeling even. Doesn't have to be a time or an event. A feeling that you have for anything, like for anything that's there, and play with that and use that. Yeah. So every character that you play is yourself.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
Are there certain characters that you almost discovered more about yourself through playing, and you say, okay, well, I need to draw something from my past that can relate to the character in terms of a certain thing, and then you think back to your life and be like, this is actually something I haven't addressed before.
One of my characters, and I consider myself to be a very open person, because people want to come along for my journey. I'll show them the whole journey. One of my characters is teaching me how to love, and what she's going through is showing me that those things actually exist. So yeah, sometimes your characters show you things show you moments in life that you realize that you want in your actual offstage life too. So yes.
And now, speaking, obviously, fitness and health is obviously a massive part of your life. And, first going back to that celebrity boxing match that you had with Jade.
Yeah.
How did that come about? How was it? Because I watched the video as well, and they were talking about how people have done it before you guys.
Yes.
But what was it for?
We were the first female celebrity boxing match on the continent. It had never been done before. I had never fought a day in my life before that. I used to fight in response to having to do my own stunts. Always, because I believe an artist needs to upskill. And because of the way that, the way that I look and the work that is attached to that sort of thing, and the physicality of everything, I decided a long time ago that I'm not going to play against it. I'm going to go with it. So if I keep getting briefs for roles that require gun work, I'm going to go get my firearm license, which I have. Roles that require stunts and fighting, I'm going to go like do that and get really good at it. Same thing with the racing, same thing with the airplanes and the flying. Roles came, and I understand that is sort of my niche. I have to be convincing at it. So I always just used to fight because it's fun and it's fit, and nothing major. And I got really good at it, and I got a call from the promotions company who sort of does these fights, and they were like, "Yo, want to fight?" And I went, "No, thanks." And they went, "Well, can we just stop you and talk you through the ethos behind the campaign?" And I said, "Go ahead." And they said all proceeds go towards anti-bullying initiatives. And I went, wow. I mean, I was bullied for 12 years. I know what that's like. I said, I'll fight. Let's do it. And obviously, if you're going to put a big, shiny bolt in front of me, and this is what I stand to win, of course, I'm so competitive.
And then you did win.
Of course I did. There's nothing, and nothing on Jay. Jay's an incredible human being. In fact, we're very close. She's got a beautiful daughter, and she's married now, and all those good things. There's nothing, no person I just fear for the person standing between me and what I want. I fear for them. I will run straight through you, no matter what that is, be it, bolt, be it a role, be it a personal goal that I want to achieve to better myself. If there's a person standing in between that, I feel very sorry for them, honestly. So that's how the fighting started. And once you get a taste for it, you can't shake it. And I've had a couple of white collar fights after that. So yeah, I was fighting at a time where it wasn't really cool for a girl to do that. I did it anyway because I loved it, even before the celebrity match. I just liked hobbies that were just different, figure skating and fighting, and all the dance forms that I did, tap, ballet, modern. It was all things that it's not normal. It's not like netball, softball, soccer, like usual things that people around me when I was growing up were doing. I was doing different things. And I like to believe that all of it shaped me into, I didn't know where I was going throughout all of this. I just followed what I loved, Jesse, like really, really, truly. From the skating, to the performing, to the law school even, to moving to Joburg, I just did and nothing made sense. And then one day it all clicked. And I became this adrenaline-obsessed, ass-kicking artist based in Johannesburg who does her own contracts for shows. Like if a brand wants to work with me and they want to do a social media collaboration, I'm the last port of call for that contract. I will look through it. After legal has gone through it, I will go through it one more time just to make sure, because that's the skill that I've learned. And not a lot of people have that skill, let alone in the entertainment game, to be able to be your own line of defense. Because this is a solo sport. People always ask me, what's the connection between fighting and acting? It seems like two different things. Nope, same thing. Solo sports, two sports that are really, really solo sports. It's you and the world. Sure, you've got your director and your lighting guy and your DOP, and in the ring you've got your coach and your cut man and your cornerman. That's you there. It's you and the music. It's you on camera. It's your work that is going to be, on display. It's your work that is going to be criticized. So the two are very, very, very similar. They also teach you how to take a loss. In the audition room, I get my ass kicked up and down the mat sometimes during the week when we train. It's how to take a bad call even from the ref. Pick yourself up and fight on. Like those are two skills that sport has taught me and that the entertainment game has taught me that I will forever be grateful for. There are days when it's not not the best thing and it is quite cuck when it happens. Yeah. But it teaches you and it really makes you a lot stronger.
Your parents obviously always supported you. I mean, they most of the time, well, obviously what you've said is they, encouraged you to chase your dreams, giving you a like almost a fallback plan and a plan B. And you took that plan B and you kind of implemented it into your life.
Sure.
So that it's not anymore plan B. It's kind of, a fuel to your plan A, and it's helping you go forward with it. Going back, obviously now you're very positive, you're very happy, you're very, this is my dream. I'm busy making reality, but even more so, How were there ever times, was it more when you were growing up that you kind of took adversity and, didn't take it on the chin? You almost kind of, it set you back? Because obviously now you say, never take a no as a no. It's kind of a learning curve, a lesson.
Of course, there was a time where I took no's awfully personally, like really, really personally. This is not so much from an unfair point of view. I'm very competitive. So it's like, how can I get better? I'm not the best. What? Okay, I need to work at this. And it's not just acting, it's just everything in life. Sport, entertainment, life skills, you know? I took no's that I wasn't good enough. I really, really wasn't good enough. And I burnt out quite a lot, just trying to be better, be the best version of myself.
When was this? Probably, roughly.
I burnt out during, goodness, I burnt out twice, like clinical burnout, when I was 24 and once in varsity. But I think the latter was more about stress. But, you know, you do go through times in your life where you've got to show what you're made of. And I wish going back, I could just tell myself to be more gentle and look at the lesson instead of what we're lacking. I think often people look at what they lack and they fail to see the lesson. You can turn your mess into a message. You really can. And your test into a testimony. You really, really can. If you just open your eyes and look around you. And I just wish I told my younger self, stop. Just, I know you're feeling like this and you want to go and you want to just stop. Look at how we got here. Look, sometimes it was that the director you weren't the right person for the role. Stop beating yourself up about it. You know, there were other times where eat the fucking cake, have the cake, do the thing, whatever, who cares? You know, those kinds of things. I just wish I told myself to just stop and just look around. And I think I've gotten really good at that over the past few years. And COVID will show you that as well. Like you'll just sit at home because I was man alone during the entire lockdown period because my family's still in Cape Town. Remember, I moved. Again, no family here, nothing of the sort.
How long ago did you move? Sorry to interrupt.
5 years.
Okay.
So I spent lockdown alone, Jesse, and it was tough because you actually have to look and take pause and just understand everything and get introspective about things. And you need to learn how to fall back in love with yourself and back in love with loving life, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think Tom Hardy has some quote about that he made. It was, you know, you have to. People don't see how I'm going to botch it, but I'm completely paraphrasing. It was something like you need to be completely comfortable by yourself.
You have to be.
You know, people overlook the value of truly just being happy with yourself and being happy in your own thoughts. And I think today's society is so difficult as humans because you constantly got a phone to see what this person's doing. You're constantly seeing this Instagram post that makes you feel like, oh, well, I'm not doing that. What's wrong with me? Yeah. You kind of have to come to a point where you have to be completely happy with yourself, and happiness 100% comes from within. And in any industry, in any job, in whatever you're doing, happiness has to come from within, and it has to come from you truly. No one's going to be 100% happy with themselves, of course.
100%. I agree. But I think before people need to focus on being happy with themselves, they need to find out who they are. Who is themselves? Like, who are you? What's your character? One of my favorite sayings in my entire life is that character is who you are when no one's watching. Who are you when that's happening? Are you training? If you don't have to post at Instagram that you're at the gym, are you training? Yes or no? You know, who are you when the lights are off is the question. Find out who you are. And if that person doesn't look like what you see on social media or on TV or anywhere else, cool. That's fine. You're good. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, I was fighting in a time when it wasn't cool and kick-ass for a woman to do that. People were like, don't you just want to, you know, no, I did it anyway. And that's how I was able to be happy, was because I was doing what I love. So if you find, like, don't ever ask me about makeup. I don't know. I can't tell you. The most I can tell you is that mascara is black and sometimes it's brown. Like, I can't, you know. So for me to live in this world where I'm obsessed with Instagram and makeup and that's just not me, you know. Also, brands it'll be hard for me to tackle a brand that I don't believe in that thing that you were calling of themselves. Like, who is themselves? Who are you? And you can only be happy when you understand who you are, set up boundaries that contradict who you are, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And then you can be happy. I promise it really works. It really is as easy as that. Find out who you are. If you have character and you can look at yourself in the mirror and just feel great, happiness is on its way. I mean, happiness happens immediately. Yeah. Because even on a bad day, and trust me, I give my friends so much grief. Out of all of my friends, I'm probably the only person in entertainment. A lot of them are lawyers and investment bankers and entrepreneurs and what have you. I always have like screaming matches. You know, I'm just like, goddamn, It's really tough right now. I should really just be doing something different or something else altogether. And they went, Nicole, there was a time where you prayed for this moment. Live it. There was a time where you are now was the top floor. You can't even look around you and see that because you're so focused on what the next thing is. And then I couldn't find happiness in that either. I actually had to slow down, go, this is who I am. Yes, these are the things I've wanted. Shit, I feel grateful and blessed and happy. Yeah. Wow, it's like a switch. It's just like you just have to observe and literally break it down. And it's hard for us because I live in my body, you live in yours. Sure, I know what I want. But do you? Stop. Do you? Look around you. Like, I give them such a hard time. Oh my God, I totally went for this thing. Blah, 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 blah. I went for this role. Didn't get it. This is really frustrating. No. Stop. You have 2 other projects going on at the moment. That is a blessing within itself. Artists don't even get one. You're crying about one that landed. You've got to. If you did that, you would not have the time to enjoy your life as well. Your quality of life would diminish because you can't be shooting 3 things at the same time. You'd burn out again. So always, and it does make me happy to be on any set. It doesn't have to be, to do work that is meaningful and that has an impact is really important. And I look around and I'm doing that. Who cares about a third thing that was really shiny and really great? And I would have loved it. I would have loved to add it. But just stop, take pause, and you can find happiness there. I found it, at least. Yeah. That's my sort of cheat sheet.
Yeah. On that point exactly, actually, in my last podcast with Chris, I mentioned that was Jordan B. Peterson's quote was, we all want a high standard of living, but we're always sacrificing the present for the future.
Yes.
And you kind of need to look at it and be like, yes, I'm working towards something.
Yes.
But 10 years ago, me was working to the point where I am now. Kind of take it in,
And enjoy.
Yeah.
Spend some time enjoying it. And that's not to say you're resting. Like, it's like when you summit Table Mountain. Before you go and you want to summit Everest next, enjoy the view at the top there. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the journey. And I'm guilty of that too. I think we all are. I think anybody, especially in our generation, because we've really changed, the economy has changed from the time when our parents were working in it. You no longer do a 9 to 5. People have side hustles. People have careers as athletes and careers as entertainers. They don't always need a plan B. So times have changed. So it really is important to enjoy the fact that you've got where you are. The journey was what it was. And my God, you're at the top, of whatever your goal was. Like if your goal was, I don't know, to lose weight, to win a bodybuilding competition, to win a championship belt, to get a role on a soapy, whatever the case may be, just enjoy the top for a moment. Just breathe, enjoy, find that happiness in self, and then worry about the next thing tomorrow. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, actually, I think it was like the last few episodes of The Office where Andy says, I wish you could know you're in the good old days when you're in the good old days.
Exactly. And I'm sure you've done it from a fitness point of view. You've looked at yourself in the mirror and you're like, shit, I could work here and here and here. And then you look back at photos of that time and you're like, what are you talking about? Like, I would kill to look like that again, kind of a thing.
You always look at yourself like, I looked so amazing. But when you're in that time, looking at yourself, you're like, no, I don't look good enough.
I need to cut like at least 300 more calories out of the diet. I need to push this. Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of that is mindset, and it's being present and current and understanding where you are, because as humans, we're always just trying to go for that next thing, trying to chase a dream that needs more work and it needs more dedication. But I think we need to come to a point where, yes, I'm working for that, but I do need to enjoy now, because if you constantly have that mindset, you're always going to be chasing something. There's no end goal, actually. I mean, like you want to be on you want to star as yourself, or you the main character on a Netflix series. Once you get there, then boom, I want to star on this movie. Next thing, I want to star on this. I want to win an Oscar, and then it just keeps going. So what is your goal? Obviously, you appreciate now what you have, but in terms of your goal as an actor, that you've set yourself,
it really has never changed. I would love to play a Tomb Raider, or a Wonder Woman, or an assassin, or a spy. That's really something I would love to tackle and really showcase the skills that I've been building since I started fighting nearly, 7 years ago. Those kinds of things, like really get into it. Really I'll settle for a Mr. and Mrs. Smith even kind of a thing, but I'd really love to play a Tomb Raider. And I realized as I'm saying this, it's all sort of Angelina Jolie's movies, like a spy, an assassin, a Mr. and Mrs. Smith, a Tomb Raider, or a superhero.
Yeah.
I really, it's just a dream. It would just be a childhood dream come true.
What superhero do you see yourself as?
Spectrum.
Fortunately today, you know, it's not Superman is white, Wonder Woman is white. Like there's now characters that are being redone in a universal way.
Halle Berry started that. She was
exactly,
a black
Catwoman. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what's good about society today is it's not, okay, well, Superman was made in the 40s.
Spectrum was black, I think. I believe she was black. Spectrum was actually black. I think I think she was cartooned as being an artist of color. In that case, I think it should go to an artist of color then. If it's written,
of course.
Then it should be. It always should be. Like,
how do you feel about that in terms of like Superman was a white Superman?
I just came from, like, let's take it even away from race. I just came out of shooting No Hiding Here, which is on Showmax at the moment. And it's a movie about trans, gay, bisexual, LGBTQI plus, rainbow flag, beautiful piece. You could not audition if you were not one of those. If you were auditioning for the lead character and you were not gay, they would not consider you. And I love that. I think there is queer talent out there. That talent ought to play those roles. There's no good reason why. And it was great because not even the on-screen cast, but the crew was also part of the Rainbow Nation. You know, the entire production team, and I loved it. I didn't play a gay role. I played one of the 4 straight characters in the entire show. And I loved it. I loved every second because you're watching people, again, tell stories that they grew up wanting to see more of. And that's not anyone else's narrative to tell but the Rainbow Nation, the Rainbow Squad. You know, and it was such a beautiful project to be a part of. I'm such a strong ally of that community. And yeah, that was really special. So to answer your question, I think where roles can be played for people who were previously disenfranchised and that society has shunned for hundreds of years, those people ought to be playing those roles. End of discussion. Like the days of whitewashing are over. You cannot whitewash and wash anything. I'm so over trans actors being played by straight men. There's nothing that you can pull on you. If you identify as a cis individual, let somebody who has lived that life bring that story to life. I believe that, at least. And I mean, that's just my 2 cents. And I get down with projects like that. I really do.
And now in terms of like, you know, Henry Cavill was Superman, stepping down and people saying Michael B. Jordan should be Superman.
Yeah.
You know, that character, Superman, was written as a white person.
Was he?
In the original comics, he was.
Or was that just what everybody was coloring at the time?
He was at least drawn as a white person.
He was drawn as a white person.
Yeah. So, okay, let's say someone that is a white person, drawn as a white person, written as a white person. Do you believe that now, yes, like, okay, cool. Let's say Superman was drawn as a white person, written as a white person. He was done multiple times by white people. Now, obviously, there's time for change where you can have a black guy.
With James Bond and Idris Elba, that whole saga there. I think, well, look, there's a couple of things that you never talk about at dinner, race, politics and whatever, but we'll blow it all wide open. Why not? I think that those cartoons, when they were made, and the Bond movies, when they were made in a particular time where being white was right. So that's what you wrote. That makes no sense. Being white was right, so that's what you wrote. There wasn't a conscious effort to make him white. He was white because that's what everybody cool was. Same thing with Bond. James Bond was originally white because it was, you know, that kind of thing. It was written in that mindset, in that time for a particular society. You know, times have changed.
Yeah.
So I think those roles should be blown over and made available to a variety of artists.
Well, I think like Michael B. Jordan would be perfect to be a Superman. I want my Superman, doesn't matter the color, but I want him to be a good looking, strong, buff individual. I mean, he can be whatever. If an Asian person, if an Asian person looks like these guys, fine.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter about the color of the person, but it has to suit the role of.
Never mind suiting the role. I want to know, can you bring him to life convincingly?
Yeah, you see, it's obviously the acting skills as well, regardless of the race.
Yeah.
And what is your like character, or not a character, an actor that you really draw motivation from, or you really like you watch their film series, whatever?
Goodness, I am obsessed with Spanish television at the moment.
Okay.
Obsessed with it. The way they make film, the way they edit film, the way they just write. It's out of this world. Have you seen Money Heist?
Yeah.
Locked Up. Have you seen Locked Up?
No.
Okay. So the character who plays Nairobi on Money Heist, Alba Flores. What? You know? Alice Braga, who plays Teresa Mendoza on Queen of the South. What? My mind is blown. Like, the Spanish are writing TV now that is just, that it's got me like obsessed. I love the work of Alba Flores, Alice Braga. Obviously my go-to would be, I love the greats, the Uma Thurmans, the Jolies, all of those really strong women. I gravitate towards that in an artist, just because it's a category I consider myself to be a part of too, in a particular way and in a particular, country. So yeah, those really strong female roles and those actors who really portray strength in different ways and in ways that are still feminine, because being strong doesn't mean acting like a man. Being strong is I do believe females are stronger when that sort of energy is embraced. And yeah, that would sort of be my answer. You've got my head spinning now, because like in the back of my head I'm going, no, what about Viola Davis? No, what about like Kerry Washington? And I'm going, oh my God, guys, just stop.
In the movies that have been released in the last 2 years, let's say, what?
No. Okay, go.
No, I'm asking, so what female, or it could be male, it doesn't matter. But I mean, what actor have you really almost, maybe not resonated with, but put on a performance that you really thought, wow, if I can tap into that the next time I'm playing that role? Or...
Alba Flores.
Okay.
Alba Flores. Yeah, just out of the last two. Fine, I'll go. It's my final answer. I'll lock it in. No 50-50, no ask the audience, no none of that.
Yeah, just you.
No phone a friend. Yeah, Alba Flores.
And current work now on television that we can catch you?
Right now, Binnenlanders, the work that I did for Binnenlanders is currently on Catch Up. No Hiding Here is on Showmax. A very special project launches in July. That's the show that I've been working on for the past 6 months.
We'll keep our eyes. We're not allowed to say, huh?
It comes out in July. That's all I can say. It's a soap opera.
Are you allowed to say which channel, which streaming service, or not allowed to even say any of that? Okay, fine,
so
guys. You're going to have to wait.
Yeah, that comes out in July, around the corner. Another great movie in September. And another beautiful TV show that I've just began work on will go live We'll go live in October. So July, September, October.
So it's a big year.
It is. I haven't slept since 2020.
Well, you got a few more hours left of this public holiday. You're probably going to go and work or do something else. But
no, I'm going to go train afterwards. Are you coming?
Okay, where are we training?
We're going to go train in Houghton, and today's shoulders.
Shoulders. Mm-hmm. Okay, guys. We're going to go train some shoulders. Thank you very much for watching. Nicole, thank you so much for coming through. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This has been
fun. Of course. And thank you guys for watching. Cheers, guys.